Okay, now that we can move the basket backwards and forwards, it's time to catch apples. Now, catching things involves detecting whether something's hit something else, and as you should have guessed, it's all to do with colliders. So what we're going to do is add a collider to the basket. I'm just going to double click on here to zoom in on it. Right, and here we'll just add a collider to the basket. So in the physics 2D, remember everything has to be 2D here. And I'm going to add another edge collider. Let's make it visible. Now I'm going to put this edge collider just near the top of the basket. Just a little bit narrower. Now the idea here is that the apple is going to fall, touch this collider, and then it'll set up a consequence, a result. Now the result would normally be, if we left it like this, to be just the fact that it'll bounce out again. But if we wanted to make a collider do something, not prevent it hitting, but to trigger an event if something passes, we've got this is trigger option, which I'm going to put on. So now the apple can pass through that collider, but it's going to trigger an event. What we want to happen there is that the apple will be destroyed and you get some extra points. Right, so we're going to create some script to do that. So I could put this in the move basket script, but I'm going to add another one so we retain the idea that each script has a certain job to do. Right, so I'm going to put a new script in here. I'm going to call this one Catch Apple. Again, no spaces here. Create an ad. And then we'll edit it. So this will take us back to MonoDevelop. Again, I'll pause the movie until we get there. Okay, here we are back in MonoDevelop. Now, in this case, what I need to do is to create some private variables. And this is going to be an integer. Now, int is short for integer, which is a whole number, 1, 2, 3, minus 6, whatever, but no decimal part. And this is going to hold the score. Okay. So it's a private variable. It cannot be seen from outside this particular piece of code. Right, we have our two normal start and update, which again we're not going to use. We will use them one day. But what we're interested in is what's going to happen if that trigger gets hit by another collider. So there is a specific function that will allow us to do that. So again, returns void. Alright, so we've got onTrigger enter. Now there are two versions of this. One is for a 3D collider and another one is for a 2D collider. So as we're working in 2D at the moment, we must put that 2D in. As I said before, it is case sensitive, so the capitalization must be exactly correct. Now, all of the functions we've seen so far have just empty brackets, and you're probably wondering why there are brackets at all. That's because we can put things in there. In this case, the collider which collides with our trigger is also given to this function, and this is going to be a collider 2D. There it is, and we're going to call this other. That's just the name we're giving to that collider. Okay, right. Open curly brackets and close them again. So the first thing we're going to do is to increase, is to destroy the apple. So we need to define the game object to be deleted. So I'm creating another variable of the game object type. I'm going to call this other game object, which is the game object attached to the collider, and that collider is called other, and it's game object. Now notice the capitalization here. This game object is a game object because it is an object in its own right. This one is just attached to the other collider. And then we can destroy it. Sorry. Okay, and that should destroy it. Now we're going to give some points for collecting this, and so we're going to add another variable up here. This is going to be a public one. I'm going to call this Apple value. Oh, sorry. Being careless. Haven't told what size it is. It's an integer. And also, I am going to use the start because I'm going to set the score to 0 at the beginning. Okay, so we've got a public integer called apple value, which is how many points you get for an apple. I'm going to give it a default value. So unless somebody else or you puts another value in, it's going to award 10 points for each apple caught. Right, so we need to add something onto the score, and we're going to add on okay. So remember, plus equals means add on to what already exists in score. Right, so with any luck that should catch the apple and give you points for that. Let's just check the code. Yeah, everything looks good. So if we go back and test the game again, we have got the apple positioned right over the basket, so it shouldn't make it too difficult. So we should find now that the apple actually disappears when we play the game. Let's check that. Yep, so the apple has disappeared into the basket, but where are our points? We'll find out next time. Let's save the scene.